for goals, scouting for goals. We want the finish, we want the goal. Scouting for goals, scouting for goals. Say it with us now, let it unfold. Scouting for goals. Scouting for goals.
Hello and welcome to Scouting for Goals, episode 4. I'm joined today with the big dog himself, Ryan.
Hello there.
And as always, Dean.
Hello, people.
And just like last week, we've got a very special guest. So last week, Daniel Farker decided to come on. This week, we've gone for another Premier League manager, former Premier League manager. We've got Brendan Rodgers.
Hello everybody, I'm very proud to be here on this wonderful podcast. Big shout out to Colo Torre and wee Joe Allen's beautiful technicians, wonderful human being players.
Thanks for that, Brendan. Lovely little appearance from him as well. So,
Absolutely beautiful.
today is the final day of the Premier League season. So we're recording this before 4 o'clock, aren't we? So we don't know who's gone down yet. All we know is Arsenal are Premier League champions. So congratulations to them. The last time they won the Premier League was in the 03-04 season. Obviously the famous Invincible season, weren't it, where Patrick Vieira was captain, Wenger was in charge, and they had the likes of Henry, Ashley Cole, Bergkamp, Campbell. So they had a solid squad, didn't they, back then, really? But we'll briefly touch on it. Ryan, how well do you think Arsenal have done this season?
Oh, well, I think they've been terrific throughout the whole season. They've just been consistent, haven't they? I think they've had a patch the last month or two where it looked possibly that they might
Bottle it.
They could bottle it. They could, it looked like Man City could have took over. No, they've throughout the whole season. I think they've been really very good.
Do you think they've been deserved champions, Dean?
Well, it's no doubt they've been the best team in the Premier League this season. I mean, there's always a debate there about the quality of the football and whether they're playing the most exciting football. It's quite defensive and quite negative, but at the end of the day, it's getting results, and now they've got a Premier League title to show for it, so a brilliant season for Arsenal all round.
Well, how do you think Arteta's done then since he took over in 2019? Do you think he's done a good job, or?
I think with Arteta, I think obviously he won the FA Cup a couple of years ago, didn't he? And then the thing for Arsenal has been, since he's come in, is winning the Premier League, because obviously the last couple of years they've been finishing second, and there was always that question of whether they're going to get over the line and secure the Premier League, but the squad that they've assembled the last couple of years, the strength and depth that they've got in each position, I think it will be very interesting to see if they win the Champions League in a week or two's time. I think then you can
properly judge how good the squad is.
Because I think if he's won the Premier League now, he's won the FA Cup. If they win the Champions League as well, I think it will go down as a success for Arsenal.
There's a bit of a debate online, isn't there, whether Arteta's quite an overrated manager. And I know when we did the Champions, what was it called, European Nights episode in the woods, the one where Ryan ditched us for that one.
Yeah.
We did have a brief discussion about Arsenal, didn't we, in the final and what we thought. Do you think Arteta is overrated, or do you think he's worthy of the praise?
I don't think he's overrated at all. I think since he's come into Arsenal have determined themselves as a solid side within the Premier League. I mean, it's no doubt now this season with them winning the league as well. It will just be whether that he continues to build on that, and whether City manage to be able to bounce back from it like they usually do when another team wins the title. We usually then see City bounce back and win it the next season. So if Arsenal can stay consistent, then I think there can be no doubt about Arteta and the job he's done at Arsenal. I think he's managed to do the one thing that they haven't been able to do in 22 years, is it now, since they last won the Premier League. So at the end of the day, I think a lot of players, even pundits and ex-Arsenal players like Van Persie, have come out as well and said that Arteta's overrated. He's not going to win anything at the club. They're never going to win the Premier League title, and he's managed to do exactly that. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think he's done a solid job.
Yeah, to be fair, I pretty much agree with all of that. I don't think he's worthy of all the criticism he gets. I mean, I know he can whinge about a lot of stuff, can't he, on the touchline, and there's that aspect of it. But I think all football managers get that at some point. So the next bit, we touched on it in that episode that me and you did together, Dean. What key players have contributed to Arsenal's season? So I've heard this from Dean already, Ryan, but like the likes of Gyökeres, do you think he's been a success this year since joining in the summer, or do you think he's been a bit of a flop?
No, I think Arsenal were crying out for a striker. I don't think he's been a flop for Arsenal at all. I wouldn't be able to give you his stats as to like how many goals he scored this season.
It's double digits.
Yeah, I think he's come in, and like I said to you before, with the squad depth that Arsenal have got, that was the one position they've been crying out for the last couple of years, is an out and out central striker, because the rest of the team was built around a striker that was going to be there for scoring goals. I think he's come in and he's done a good job.
So who else do you think's been key to their season? Because for me, and I think Dean would agree, Declan Rice has been colossal this season.
Declan Rice has been terrific once again.
And even David Raya, to be fair,
Yeah.
there was a lot of and ahhing when he first joined and he pushed Ramsdale out of the team. But I think he's definitely top 3 keepers in the league, isn't he?
100%.
Zubimendi's been a fantastic signing as well this season. One of the best midfielders in the league, arguably.
And then obviously you've got Saliba and Gabriel.
Yeah,
Best centre-back partnership for years, in my
100%.
opinion.
Yeah, I think they're probably the best two that are in the league by a country mile.
Yeah.
And then you look at the likes of Eferigi Eze as well. I think he's coming in, done a solid job, and even like the so-called not outstanding players like Trossard, that players like that who have come in and just done a solid job for Arsenal.
Brilliant off the bench,
Yeah.
So, from Scouting for Goals, congratulations to Arsenal for winning the league. We'll move on swiftly to the team that came second, then Man City. Obviously, by their standards, it's not been a great season for them. I mean, I know they've won the FA Cup, but obviously the Premier League and Champions League are always the two that they're going for. So, yeah, Carabao Cup as well. Recently, the news has come out that Guardiola's leaving. It's absolutely massive news for the Premier League, and the rumour is that it's going to be Maresca to take over. Do you think that it's going to be a good appointment for Man City, or do you think Maresca's going to flop there? Because obviously it's a bit similar to when Klopp was at Liverpool. He left and they hired Schlott. It hasn't quite worked out how Liverpool and their fans would have wanted. Do you think it's going to be the same sort of situation at Man City, or do you think it's going to get better?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's going to get better, because I think it's going to be very hard to replicate the amount of success that Guardiola's had at the club. But I think no matter who they really get in as manager, there's always a good foundation at Man City with some of the players that they already have in the club, like Haaland, Jeremy Doku, I think's had an impressive season as well. There's no doubt that they still have quality at the club, and that manager is always going to get the backing from the board, because Man City are always going to be a side that's willing to spend the money.
Ryan, what do you think then about Maresca? Do you think he's going to flop, or do you think it's going to be a successful campaign for them?
Well, I mean, if you look at Slot at Liverpool, the first season he came in, he won the Premier League, didn't he? And like Dean said, the players that they've got at Man City already, they've already got a super squad anyway, haven't they? And the amount of money that they'll probably have to spend in the summer again, that team's more than good enough to win the Premier League as it is. So yeah, it depends. It depends how the players react to Maresca. If he's going to be the one that comes in, if they respect him enough to go on and possibly go on and win the league again.
He was Pep's number 2, weren't he? At some point.
Yes, I think
when
he was.
When Leicester appointed him, I'm pretty sure he was.
I think he was just before then, wasn't he? Yeah,
just like Arteta.
Yeah.
certainly be one to look at.
He looks like Pep as well. To be fair, have you seen
yeah.
seen him? He's bald as well. He looks very similar to Pep. So, what we'll do is we'll move to somebody who's got a bit more experience in this field, Brendan Rodgers. So, what do you think, Brendan? Is it going to be a successful appointment for City?
Well, I personally think that no matter who's inheriting that squad, they've got some absolutely beautiful human being players like Haaland with his lovely, luscious, long locks, and wee little Phil Foden. I hope that he can manage to come back into his own again, because it's been a little bit of a wee sad season for him this year, and I really hope he does well.
Thanks for that, Brendan. Absolutely superb insight into Haaland and his hair. Love it. Alright, last question then on City. Was Pep good for English football, or do you think he's ruined it? Because there's a lot of talk about how the fact that players pass back sideways and back to the keeper and all of that is because of Pep, and they hold him accountable for that becoming the new type of football. So do you think he was good for English football or football in general, or do you think he has sort of ruined the old-fashioned days of launching it upfield to the big strikers to try and knock on?
No, I was going to say I don't think he's ruined it at all. I mean, just the fact that other teams have tried to copy what Pep's been doing with Man City tells you everything you need to know, really. I mean, you come in and you win 20 trophies in 10 years. 2 a year, isn't it? That is just remarkably good. I think English football has adapted to what Pep Guardiola has done, rather than the other way round.
Yeah.
I think he's.
God, you sound like Michael Owen.
Yeah, I think
the way you said that then was like Michael Owen's famous quote.
No, I think he's been terrific. I mean, the thing a couple of years ago when John Stones was playing centre back, and he was almost playing as another midfielder, and then I know Liverpool did that with Trent for a while, and there was various other teams that did that. So no, I think he's been terrific.
To be fair, I agree. I think he's going to be a massive miss for the Premier League, and I think, especially for next season or two, I think City might struggle a little bit to adapt to Maresca. I mean, he's been there, was it 10 years? I think it was.
Yeah.
So for you to have had that manager for 10 years and then for a new guy to come in, there's going to be some changes, and I think people might struggle with it.
I also think throughout his managerial career he showed great character. I'm just not very happy that he didn't appoint me personally.
Oh man. Also, if there's any background noise, I think we've had the phone go. We've had, I don't know what else has been going on. We're in Ryan's living room again, so I'll try and edit it out as much as I can. But yeah, just in case you have heard anything, we apologise. I mean, you'd think getting Brendan Rodgers to sit in your living room, that's pretty good going, isn't it?
And then having Sainsbury's at the same time. I mean,
Is that who it is? Sainsbury's, exactly.
Well, like my good friend Miley Cyrus says, you got the best of both worlds.
Oh God. Right, next bit then is something I think Ryan's going to be the expert on. Liverpool. Obviously, Salah's last game today, as is Andy Robertson. There's nobody else going, is there? Apart from them two?
Not at the moment.
No, so Salah was the big shock, I think. What's your thoughts on him going, and where do you think he's going to end up in the summer?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a shock. I think Salah was, there was already talks of him going anyway. There's obviously been a big fallout with him and Slot. I mean, that's been made pretty public the last couple of months anyway. He had the situation in January with Leeds, and then obviously he came out after the Villa game last week and put a big Instagram post on. So there's definitely something that's happened between him and Slot. It's just become more public.
Do you know what it was? Or what did they fall out over?
I think there was a thing that there was a time that Salah wasn't playing for a good 4 or 5 games, and he obviously wasn't happy about that. And then there's definitely something that's, Salah isn't happy with the football that we're playing. I mean, obviously, this season has been pretty horrendous for Liverpool. Finishing 5th, possibility of going 4th today. That's just bare minimum.
I mean, especially when you spent all the money that you have spent, like you bought Wirtz, Isak, who I know has had injuries.
Yeah.
But at the start of the season, I remember when we predicted how this season was going to finish, and I think we both agreed Liverpool were going to win the league again.
Yeah.
And so for you to finish where you have is shocking, really, with the money spent. So who do you think's going to end up having him, Salah? Can you see him going to like a Real Madrid or a Barcelona, or do you think he's going to go to somewhere like Saudi or the MLS? Because I know Saudi have wanted him to be their figurehead of their league, haven't they, for a number of years?
I think Saudi is probably the most likely destination out of all of them. But you know, the quality of player that he is still now, he could quite easily get into another Premier League team or a foreign, you know, like a team in the league or France or a Bundesliga team. But I think most likely it'll probably be Saudi.
Yeah.
Could potentially have a reunion with Mane on the cards as well. And playing in Saudi as well.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Firmino playing in Saudi as well, I'm sure too.
Is he still there for me, though?
He was in Saudi, yeah, I'm
I
sure.
know he was there. I
think
didn't.
he's
It's a name
Yeah.
I haven't heard for a while. That. No, so it'd be interesting to see where he ends up. What about Robbo?
Robbo.
Because I think I know there's links of him going to Spurs, right? If Spurs went down today, Hull have just been promoted. Do you think he'll go back to Hull?
It's not a bad shape.
Because
not a bad shape.
I think genuinely, I think that would be an option for him.
Yeah.
And even with the Spurs move not confirmed, he might in the back of his head be thinking about going back. Be a good signing for Hull as well. But what do you think he's going to do? And do you think he's going to be a big loss for Liverpool?
In answer to your last question, yes, I do. I do think he'll be a loss. I think Kirkes. I'm a big fan of Kirkes, but I think having Robertson alongside him, it helps.
It's like a mentor.
It's a
isn't
healthy
it?
competition. You've got the healthy competition there, and I think Robertson would have made Kirkes a better player just being there. So yes, I do think he'll be a big miss. In answer to your first question, Hull is a very good shout. But I also could see, to be honest, Robertson, even at the age he is now, and okay, yes, people have said that he's dropped off a little bit. He might have dropped off a little bit. I think he could quite easily get into any other Premier League team, personally. Maybe not a starter for all of them, but yeah, I think he could go into any Premier League team. But I think Hull or Spurs is probably the most likely
If they stay up.
if they stay up.
There might be a championship team as well that's crying out for a left back right now. So if you're interested, Robbo, we've got some vacancies open.
Who is Wolves'
You're more than
left back?
welcome. We had Wolf and we had Bueno. So,
When you said
I mean,
Wolf, then
Bueno's okay, but
that Wolf
Wolf is,
reminded me of Farker last week.
not great. Not great.
No, he's not, is he? So, all right, in fact, we've spoke quite a lot about managers this episode. We've got one more to talk about, and it's a pretty big appointment. José Mourinho, gone back to Real Madrid. I mean, I remember when he was manager of Spurs, and there was he was on that documentary, weren't he, when he called out Dele Alli and all of that controversy. Since then, he's been at Roma, Fenerbahce and Benfica, right? And his lowest win rate of his entire career actually came when he was at Roma. It was the only time his win percentage was under 50%, that's just fantastic. I didn't even know that myself till I was looking into it. And even then, his win percentage was 49.28. So he's only just missed out on the 50% mark. But I don't know how old he is. How old's Mourinho off the top of your head? He's in his 60s, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, he's got to be hitting 60s.
Do you think it's a good appointment for Madrid to start off with?
I think it can't do Madrid any harm at all, really. I think even when he was at United, he managed to get a very, average, some would even say poor United squad. I mean, Mourinho said himself that one of his greatest achievements was getting that United squad to second.
He won them a trophy as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I think, didn't they win
FA Cup or something?
the FA Cup? I'm sure they won a Europa League as well, but that might be under Ten Hag, or I might be thinking of something else. And then also he got Spurs to I'm sure, didn't he get them to the cup final as well, just before getting sacked as well? If I believe, just before he left Spurs, he got them to the final as well. So he managed to nearly win Spurs a trophy, which would have been a miracle in itself as well. So I think he's definitely a proven manager. He's got the track record to prove it. either way, when he goes to Madrid, he's inheriting an absolutely world-class squad full of elite talent. So, you know, he's been able to have a good win record with middling sides, you know, still big sides within football, but, you know, they haven't got the quality of a Real Madrid. So I'm still thinking absolutely he's got something that he can offer to Madrid.
I mean, obviously he's won the league this year with Benfica. And I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that they went unbeaten, possibly. I can't fully remember, but I'm pretty sure they did. Which, again, is a great achievement. I get it's Portuguese league, and they're probably the biggest team in Portugal along with Porto. But that's still a great achievement for him. And the last time he was at Real was 2010 to 2013. So it's been, 13 years since he was last there, Ryan. But do you think it's going to be more of a short-term appointment or more of a long-term appointment for them?
José Mourinho's always been a short-term appointment. I mean, you look at the managerial career. You know, the most that he's been at a club, 2-3 years max.
I mean, he's been to Chelsea 3 times, hasn't he? Or was it twice?
Twice.
At least twice. Yeah. So you know what you get with Mourinho. He's going to play a certain way. He's going to come in, and the one thing 9 times out of 10 is what he guarantees you is trophies. He's going to come in. He's a proven winner. And like you said, the only team that he didn't do that, I think, was at Spurs, wasn't he? And like Dean said, he took them to a final. So yeah, I think the way that Real Madrid are at the moment, I think Mourinho coming in for the short term until they fully know what they want is probably a sensible move. But yeah, I couldn't see him staying longer than 2 years.
I think that's all we need to touch on, really, with managers. I think we've pretty much covered everything there. But no, I think Mourinho will be a good acquisition, and it'll be interesting. Players like Jude and Vinicius and Mbappe, how they adapt to him, because you can either love Mourinho or you don't. And from an English point of view, I hope Jude thrives under him, because I think he'd be superb for somebody like him in improving his game.
It'll be interesting, I think, to see how the side lines up as well, because no matter what team Mourinho's inherited, he always seems to have favourites. I remember at one point there was a fallout with Casillas at Real Madrid, and we saw Casillas getting dropped and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see.
That's a good point, to be fair. I'd forgotten all about it. So we'll move on now to what has probably been the hottest topic this entire week, was Spygate. So Southampton getting done for spying on was it Middlesbrough? It was on spying on Middlesbrough before the second leg of their playoffs. So ultimately, Southampton got kicked out the playoff final. They also got a -4 point deduction next season. So Southampton admitted to it, 3 counts of spying, where they spied on Middlesbrough, Oxford and Ipswich throughout the season. Funnily enough, they didn't win a single game. So if it was William Salt spying on all 3, then he deserves to get sacked just off that. So they didn't win 1, they drew 2, lost 1. Allegedly, the Southampton manager, Tom de Eckert, didn't know it was illegal, which I find hard to believe personally. But there's rumours that he did it in Germany also, where it is legal. So I don't know, it's a tough one. But anyway, they admitted to the 3 counts of spying. They then appealed it on the basis that they thought the punishment was too harsh. And, well, it ended up getting upheld. So they still got kicked out. They've still got this point deduction for next year. But what I want both of you to answer is, do you think it was too harsh of a punishment? If you look at what Leeds got before they changed all the rules, I think Leeds got 200k fine and a slap on the wrist. That was sort of really it. Southampton lost out on a £200 million game, and they start next season on -4. Do you think that was too harsh, or do you think that they're lucky to have just got that?
No, I don't think it was too harsh at all. I think if you're willing to cheat, then expect to suffer the consequences of that. Absolutely. And it's even more for them, because in this situation as well, when they have been spying and cheating, it hasn't even helped them. They didn't even manage to win one of those games. So then you have to question, well, actually, why are we risking this? It's not even benefiting us. So I think overall it was just a stupid decision by Southampton, and they deserve what they've got from it.
It'd be interesting as well if they hadn't have been caught in that last one. So, I mean, clearly Oxford and Ipswich must have known something about it, mustn't they, to have then come forward? So, would they have still been caught without getting caught by Middlesbrough? I don't know. It's all a bit higgledy-piggledy, isn't it? But I agree in terms of the cheating hadn't helped them previously, so why even bother? Especially in that type of game. I mean, it's the fans and the players I feel sorry for because they're no part of what goes on there. But the next bit is I know the FA are looking into it, and so there's a chance that Eckert, that William Salt who did spot, I think he's some sort of analyst, and somebody else might be getting the sack, and there might be a few bans being handed out. Do you think that's justified, Ryan?
100%. I mean, like Dean said it, if you were caught out cheating, then you deserve to be punished. They knew the Leeds situation from a couple of years ago, so the ban was put in place after the law was put in place after the Leeds situation, so they knew about it. And like you say, if this manager was supposedly reported of doing it in Germany as well, then he's obviously got a proven track record of cheating. So yeah, like you say, I think for the players and the fans, it's it's harsh because they don't deserve any of this. But in terms of the penalty, then I think it is justified that they shouldn't be playing.
I agree. I mean, I think it was it episode 1? I think it might have been where me and you both said Southampton were going to get promoted, and I still think they would have done if they hadn't been kicked out. Obviously, in the end, Middlesbrough got reinstated back in. Still lost, so lost again. Hull won 1-0, last minute Ollie McBurney goal. So congratulations to Hull for going up. And before we wrap up the championship season for this year, just a quick one. How well do you think Hull will do in the Prem next year? I know there's been no signings made yet, but looking at, I think they have a transfer embargo, so whether that will carry over to the Prem, I don't know. But can you see him staying up, or do you think it's going to be a case of when they come down and not if? Because personally for me, I think they're going to come rock bottom on a similar sort of points to Wolves, if not lower, at the moment. That's obviously without any signings being made, so that could change.
Yeah, I see it being one of those cases of a side that gets promoted and then we immediately see go back down. I think it's already happened before with Hull. I believe around 2014, 2015, I think they came up and then went straight back down again. At the moment, I don't see too much quality within the Hull side to be, a consistent, solid Premier League force. I know, obviously, transfers will come into play and we'll see the sort of signings that they make and whether that's going to impact on the side coming into next season. But at the moment, I'm not feeling too optimistic with Hull next season. So I do expect them to go back down, but we'll have to see.
Ryan, what do you think?
Well, who were the 3 teams that came up
from the Championship?
From the Championship this season.
So it was Coventry won the league, Ipswich came second, and obviously Hull won the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at all 3 of those teams, to be honest with you, I think you wouldn't be able to say convincingly that all 3 of them would stay up. I mean, wasn't it 2 years on the trot that the 3 teams that came up came straight back down?
Yes, I think so.
So like Dean said, unless their recruitment's right, I think they'll struggle. And I think they'll come down.
So I reckon that Championship season's done now till next season. I think we've covered that quite nicely. Now the next topic's a bit of a sore topic for me in particular, and I don't think Dean's best pleased.
Yeah, not my favourite result recently.
Because again, episode 2, we discussed this in the woods, didn't we? Freiburg Villa in the Europa League final. See how the mood's just changed. Yeah. Everyone's gone a bit down. Villa's first European final in 44 years, and Unai Emery got his record extending 5th triumph in that competition. So that's a pretty good achievement for him, and I'm surprised Villa have kept him as long as they have, to be honest. Now, it's a shame for Freiburg because they've never ever won a major trophy, so that could have been their very first major trophy for them. But it was like watching a top-end Premier League side against bottom Championship. The quality, the difference in quality was unbelievable. I don't know whether you watched it, Dean.
I didn't watch it personally, no. I think I knew where it was going to go, and I didn't want to witness that for myself.
I watched it on the off chance that they wouldn't win, and I could have some bragging rights at work, but that backfired, didn't it? But it was. You watched it, didn't you, Ryan?
No, I watched the highlights.
Did
but
you? It was like men against boys. It was the difference in quality was unbelievable. But I mean, Freiburg's record signing is 10.4 mil of Ritsu Doan, right? Villa's is 52 with Onana. So I mean that says a lot. And according to Transfer Market, the website, Freiburg's squad value is £165 million. Villa's is 473. So that tells you everything you need to know. Freiburg are a well-run club, but they're not mega rich, and also there's not as much money in the German league. So you know it was always going to be one of them. I can't say congratulations in this one. I can't get myself to do it. So if Ryan wants to do it, he can.
Congratulations to Aston Villa, best team in the Midlands this season.
Right, that's the last time Ryan's featuring on this podcast. He's getting sacked off now. I think we'll finish on that one because we're looking a bit depressed, aren't we? One thing I will say, Morgan Rogers is a good player, isn't he? And I think I'm glad he's in the England team. Quickly, I think it's a good player for us to take alongside Jude. Now, after this episode, we're going to do a lot more talk, aren't we, on the World Cup and the England squad in particular, and when the World Cup starts, what we think of people's chances and whatever. So we'll make this one quite brief. But on a brief note, Ryan, are you happy with the England World Cup team?
I think on the whole, yes. I mean, I know there's been a little bit of controversy on who's missed out, and like you said, we'll speak about that in the next couple of weeks. But I don't think it was too far off what I said last week on the pod in terms of who's getting in. There's a couple of ones that I was questioning. Obviously Harry Maguire not getting in there, and I was a bit surprised that Ivan Toney got in there myself.
Have you seen his stats though this year?
40 goals, 41, 40.
I mean, on his stats, you can't blame him for being in. Livramento's a questionable one, I think, and even Stones.
Yeah, I think there's better right back options.
But I mean, you look at the starting 11. You can't grumble too much. The starting 11's fine, and I don't know how many England managers previously have picked players based on their name. We haven't done that, and there still seems to be outrage about it. So it doesn't matter who the manager is and who you pick. You're never going to win, are you?
No.
But if he's picking players off form, there's a lot of players like Maguire. I mean, you could argue Gibbs-White, couldn't you? But the problem with Gibbs-White is there's a lot of players in his position. And Jude and Rodgers are a bit more versatile, I think, in where they can play. But on the whole, I think he's picked players off form. And I actually think we've got a decent chance this year. He's focused a lot on chemistry, which is something that Southgate tried to implement a lot. I mean, it's a bit like Liverpool. You don't necessarily sign the best player in that position, but you sign the player that fits the formation best, and I think that will do us good. But as Ryan said, we'll touch on that a little bit more in the next couple of episodes. But Dean, you happy with it?
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. I personally don't understand all the outrage that's going on. People making cases for players like Phil Foden that they believe should have been called up, which no doubt on his day, Phil Foden, absolutely incredible player. But I think based off recent form, he's just not the best option that we could be using in the World Cup and that would be starting. So I think I'm absolutely fine with the squad. There's maybe like one or two players that I'd question. Possibly we could have took them, like Lewis Hall and things like that, because I don't really see much of a left back cover. We've got Nico O'Reilly, who would no doubt be starting in that position anyway, but overall, yeah, I'm happy with the squad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Friday, it was like the world was ending, weren't it, all over Twitter and stuff, people just fuming about it, but at the time I couldn't understand it, but now I've thought about it more, I do think we've got a good basis of the squad, and obviously with the friendlies coming up, I think Engamo is going, isn't he? Ethan Wanyeri's going, and who was the other one? Well, there was two more going, weren't there? I can't think who it was off the top of my head. But he's took two more youngsters.
Like you say, you've got to remember, the next couple of weeks, a couple of players could get injured, and it might be some of these players that have missed out might be able to come in.
Well, there's rumours of Stones being injured, so it'll be interesting, depending on the severity of that, whether Maguire will come in again.
Yeah, that's it. And then, like you say, if you've got some of these younger players coming in for friendly for the experience, like you say, you just don't know what happens in a couple of weeks' time.
So, yeah, we'll touch on that in a couple of weeks. But what we'll do now is we'll go on to our very first Scouting for Goals exclusive. So, I had the pleasure of interviewing former Birmingham under-21 defender Laiith Fairnie. And I actually remember when he joined, he scored a hat-trick, from centre-back one time in his career at Blues. So that's one of the things that come up. But I've interviewed him, a couple of questions. So what we'll do is I'll play the interview now, and we'll have a quick wrap-up of the podcast and what's coming up after that. But no, thank you for Laiith for coming on again. He was a good sport about it. He had no problems doing it for us. So yeah, if you want to go and check out Laiith's page, I've tagged him in a few things on Instagram, and go and give him a follow. Hello, Laiith. First of all, thank you so much for joining us on the Scouting for Goals podcast and for being our very first guest. We do really appreciate you taking the time to make an appearance. And as a lifelong Blues fan myself, it is a real privilege to sit down and chat with you. So, Laiith, first question we've got for you is, what first got you into football, and when did you realise that you had a talent in football?
I first got into football when I was very, very young, just through my dad, really. He's the one that showed me basically how to play, and used to kick a ball around in the garden and stuff like that, and have a mini goal just to play around in, and I started really enjoying it, and then started training basically as soon as I could walk, and running around and tackling about 3 or 4 years old, and just carried it on through there as a hobby and started really loving it, and then got lucky enough to turn it into a profession. And I started to realise when I had a talent when I was just going into college, really. As a kid, I was never really deemed as a very talented player. I just worked hard and managed to get my opportunity through working hard, and then going to college and worked even harder, and that's how I managed to get the pleasure to play for Blues.
Brilliant, Laiith, thank you. What was the biggest lesson you took from your time in youth football, and what advice would you give to any young players coming through youth academies?
The biggest lesson I've learnt in football, for me, would not be any specific piece of advice. It wouldn't be anything major. It would just be to work on your weaknesses. If you have a player that is capable of playing loads of different positions and doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, and they don't have to be strengths. Obviously every player has strengths, but they don't all have to be strengths. Just make them not weaknesses, is what I'd say is the best lesson I've learnt. And I'm still constantly trying to improve every single day. Same with every professional. But if I could rewind time, I would definitely tell myself, go out and practice more in my weaknesses and make myself better. And any advice I'd give to a young player would be the exact same, would be work on your weaknesses. And another one would be enjoy it. Just enjoy football. Make sure you enjoy it as much as you can. Do what makes you happy within football, if football is that. And yeah, just love every second of it. Because once you get to 17, 18, you start realising that it's actually a profession and it's not a hobby anymore. It's something you have to take really seriously.
Some great advice there, Dave, thank you. So the next one, you can tell that I've written this one, is what attracted you to Birmingham City and how did the move come about?
Birmingham City was a very attractive club for me, just due to the size of the club, the fan base, the motto the club brings, and the way they work. They were also the first club that came in for me and watched me when I was younger. And that came through me being at college. So I was at college from 16 till I joined Birmingham as a first year pro. And I was just playing as much games as possible in my first year of college and just enjoying it. And really just trying to work hard to try and maybe get an opportunity, which I never thought I'd honestly get this far. And I was just really happy to be able to grasp the opportunity of going on trial at Birmingham, which came through me playing for the England schools and England colleges and scoring a few goals and captaining both. So Birmingham were the first club that come in for me for a trial. I went there and I really enjoyed it. I liked the group of lads I was playing with. I liked the coaches. Steve Spooner really helped me when I was 18 in my first year. Taught me a lot. Same with Marcus Paints. And I feel like them two combined with the squad that they had was a really good squad, and I thought, I really like this and I want to see how far this goes, and I got lucky enough to go through the trial and they offered me a contract.
That's really impressive, to be fair. Like going from that kind of level that you were playing at before, which is still a very good standard, to like a championship club like Birmingham coming in for you. That must have been like a real good opportunity for you. So obviously you said you were made captain of England schoolboys and stuff. So what did your routine look like before you had a big game?
Right, if I've got a 3 o'clock game, because most of our big games are at 3 o'clock now. Sometimes we have a night game, which I do prefer. You get a bit more time to prepare and rest your body and get a lot of water in. But for a 3 o'clock game, I would wake up around 9:30. Then I have my first meal at 10 o'clock. That'll be like a big bit of protein, maybe scrambled egg, avocado, and some bagels. And then I'll stretch, do a bit of mobility, watch a bit of TV, just really chill out, try to get some electrolytes, some water on board. And then I'll have another meal, so that'll probably be pasta, chicken pasta, so just carb loading really. Before I then play, it'll be about 3 hours before I'll have that meal. And then for a night game, I will do a bit differently, so I'll wake up a little bit later, so I'll probably go to bed a bit later and wake up a bit later, wake up about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Have my first meal, then I'll maybe go out, do something, just get my legs going, because you get a bit more time to do a few things. You're not as rushed. Probably go out for a walk, something like that. Then I'll have another meal about 2 o'clock, which will be a smaller meal, and then I'll probably do some stretching and some mobility after that. And last meal will probably be about 2.5, 3 hours before, depending on if we're travelling and stuff like that. Obviously it changes, but this is for a home game, so I'll have probably pasta again. I like to have pasta before because it's a good carb loader. And yeah, then I'll get to the game and set myself up and make sure I'm all ready.
So who has been the best player that you've had the honour of sharing the pitch with?
Who is the best player I've shared the pitch with? I've trained with and played with some really, really good players. I'd probably say the best player I have played with would be either Jay Stansfield. Trained with him. Lucky enough to train with the first team when I was at Blues. Jay Stansfield or Christian Bielik for training and playing with. I'd probably say either Callum Osmond, who's at Celtic now. He's a good mate of mine, really, really good player, really up and coming. He's smashing on the scene at the moment. Or Luke Harris, who's been on loan at Wickham from Fulham, and he was at Birmingham City as well. Really, really good player. Fantastic engine, can run forever. So I'd probably say those are two lads that I've trained with that I'd say that are older lads that are the best, and then two lads that I've played with and that are around my age.
It makes me so envious knowing that you've trained with the first team and with players like Stansfield as well. That must have been an incredible experience. The sixth question is, which player or players have inspired you the most?
A player that inspired me I'd probably say the number one I can think of is probably Sergio Ramos. Just the way he acts on the pitch and the way he leads on the pitch, and the way he is as a person as well. And when he steps across that line, he's changes into a different person and a different animal, I'd say. Always been a class player, and he's still playing now. So that shows the longevity that he brings, from going from a team so big as Real Madrid. And he's been at some very big teams, including Real Madrid, PSG. I believe he was at Sevilla as well. So he's been at some really, really big teams, and I think I'd say he is the player that probably inspires me the most, that I've watched.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I would have been a centre-back when I was growing up, I think Ramos would have 100% been my pick for that as well. He still is an incredible player, which links us nicely into the next question, which again is something I don't think he's ever done. But the question is, as a centre-back, scoring a hat-trick is incredibly uncommon. Can you talk us through that time at Birmingham when you scored your hat-trick from centre-back, and what was going on in your mind as each goal went in?
Yeah, I remember that hat-trick. It was quite a while ago now, two years ago now. I'll be honest, I got very lucky. Very lucky that I was playing with a group of players so good, and that I had a very good deliverer of the ball, who's actually at Gateshead now, Josh Home, who was in the under-21s with me. Very good player, who basically put it on a plate for me a couple times, and he gave me a few goals that season. I think I grabbed 5 or 6 goals that season. So a big shout out to him, and thank you to him for giving me a few goals. But yeah, I do believe I got slightly lucky, but at the same time, a goal is a goal, and right place, right time, as they say. So I was rather happy with getting it. I never got a match ball or anything like that, which I should have, but I was rather happy to get it. And yeah, it was a nice high point in that season.
Yeah, I remember Josh Home. He was a good little player, he was. And to be fair, mate, you've still got to put the ball in the back of the net at the end of the day. So, you still had to score 3 goals, whether they were tap-ins or whether they were screamers, you still had to score them. So that's still a great achievement. Which, again, leads to the next question of how close then were you to making it into the first team?
I think this is a difficult question because you can never tell. Some people who left the club when I left were on the bench for the first team and they still didn't stay. And some people never got close and never trained with the first team and they left as well. So there's a big difference. I just think I personally, at the time, I wasn't ready for it. And that's me being completely honest about it. I wasn't ready to play at that level. I had attributes that, yes, were good enough for that level, but certain aspects of my game was not good enough, which was difficult to take at the time. But now looking back on it, I think it's done me a world of good because I've realised that I'm not going to get everything easy and I won't get a clear pathway. Just by signing one contract doesn't mean you get the next. So I think it's important that I see it as not a knockback, but a wake-up call, because I've got plenty of time to hopefully get myself back up to that level or get myself near enough to that level, the highest level I can play. And fingers crossed, you never know. Maybe I might play for or play against them at some point within my career.
Now, fair play for being honest though. Like it must be horrible when you're training with the first team. It might give you a false sense of hope almost that you could make your debut soon. But you've said yourself that you took it as a learning curve, and you've only tried to better yourself from it. So, what is your biggest regret in football?
My biggest regret in football. It's difficult because there's so many decisions to make in football, on the pitch, off the pitch, and you have such little time to make them, especially on the pitch. I'd probably say my biggest regret in football is not doing enough work on my weaknesses, and I'm trying to improve that now. But I wish I'd gave myself a knock round the head and said 5 years ago, right, do more of this or do more of that, because I could be in a better position than I am now, and I could be maybe still at Birmingham or maybe playing at a better level. So I'd probably say that. I'd probably say, as it links back into when you're being a young player and what advice you'd give, I'd still give the same advice to everyone, is work on your weaknesses and don't make them weaknesses. Because I think that's really important for a lot of players. I've seen a lot of players at various levels get picked in sides, even though they don't play in that position, just because they've got very good attributes and they can play 3 or 4 different positions. I think that's really important for a player. Yes, be strong in your main position, but if you can play 7 out of 10 in 2 other positions, a manager is much more likely to take you on and use you if you can play 3 different positions.
Yeah, like you said earlier, it's working on your weaknesses can only be a good thing. But a lot of players nowadays, you seem to get the impression that they think they're all perfect and that there's nothing they need to work on. And it's something we touched on in the first episode of this podcast, was about egos and things. But I mean, the fact that you're trying to work on bettering yourself and working on the things that you're not happy with is that's the first step of being a brilliant footballer. So all credit to you. So sort of the opposite question now to the last one is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
I would probably say the best piece of advice I've ever received would be watch the ball, not the man, which specifies to me as when you're in a 1v1 situation and you're playing against someone who's tricky, who's quick, who knows what they're doing with the ball at their feet, tries to throw you off, watching the ball instead of the man is key. And I think it's a big, big part of growing up and playing through the system. A lot of lads that play through the system, that are wingers and that attackers, are very, very good at moving their body and moving the ball at speed. Where if you keep your eye on the ball and not the man, you always know what you need to look for. You always know what you're there for, because at the end of the day, you want to take the ball off them. You want that ball back. You're not bothered about him, whatever he's doing with his body or whatever step overs or anything he's trying. If you're watching the ball and you know where the ball's going to go, you're going to win it. So I'd probably say that. It helped me a lot when I was younger to really nail down the fact of, even if they're moving their body everywhere, a winger or a striker, or if they're tapping it and running, you know it's going to happen because you've got your eyes on the ball and you're not watching them drop the shoulder and then come inside or go outside. So I'd probably say that.
Yeah, I had a couple of games as a centre-back during my time playing like Sunday League and stuff, and that was always the one thing I was always told as well, to be fair. Not that I was very good at it because I weren't a centre-back, but I can understand why that is a key piece of advice, especially for a centre-back. So again, Laiith, thank you for coming on the podcast. We've got one last question for you, and we've made it quite a fun one. And that question is, who would you pick in your own personal five-a-side?
My personal five-a-side team, after playing with so many good players, it would be really, really hard to pick this team. I would probably say in goal, I'm going to go for a young keeper, Will O'Sullivan, who's currently at Birmingham. Very, very good keeper. He's been on loan at Solihull Moors at the end of the season. Really, really good with his feet. And he's a big, big keeper. He's about 6'4", I believe. But yeah, very good keeper. So I'd have him in goal. I would play at the back. I'd play one at the back. And I would play Christian Bielik at centre-half at the back by himself. He's a big, big lad. He's very strong, very, very technically good. And I think he would be a very good player to have in this team. Midfield, or I think I'd go with... Wow. One of them would be Craig Eastman. So I've played with him last season. Very, very good player, a leader, demands a lot from other players and sets the bar high and sets the standard. And then I will go for... I would go for... I'm going to go for Luke Harris as well. Young, fit, energetic, good technically, good in front of goal, as more of a pushing on midfielder. And then up front I'd have to go with Jay Stansfield. Best finisher I've probably played with. In front of goal, he's scary how good he is. Some of the keepers don't even bother going in net sometimes because he's that good in training. When I used to train with him last year and the year before that. So I'd probably say that. And from knowing some of the keepers as well, they don't even bother diving because they know it's going in the back of the net. So I'd probably say that would be my five-a-side. I'd say Will O'Sullivan, Christian Bielik, Luke Harris, Craig Eastman, and up front, Jay Stansfield, and a super sub of Callum Osmond, if I needed it.
That is one hell of a five-a-side, I'm not going to lie. That's class. And Stansfield, Bielik, and Will O'Sullivan, like you said, he's a good keeper, isn't he? But yeah, honestly, Laiith, thank you so much for coming on. And, it's been, especially being a Blues fan, it's been lovely getting to chat to you. Bit of a weird fact for you, but back about 2-3 years ago, I used to play loads of Football Manager, and you and actually, funnily enough, Josh Home was the other one. You and Josh Home were the two players I always used to integrate into the first team. So getting to speak to you today has been quite a bit of an unreal experience for me, and I've never interviewed anyone before. So yeah, thank you again for coming on. We do really appreciate it, and we'll let you get back to scoring hat-tricks from centre-back because clearly nobody else in the league is doing it. Once again, Laiith, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. There was some quite insightful stuff on there, weren't there, to be fair? Like his idol being Sergio Ramos. I think I say it in the question, don't I? I think if I would have been a centre-back, I think he'd have been my pick for it as well. I don't think there's been many centre-backs like him, and I don't think there will be for a number of years, really, in terms of aggression. And he had a decent goal-scoring record as well, didn't he? And then it's things like players he shared the pitch with. Like, it makes me so envious that he's trained with the Blues first team and with players like Stansfield and Bielik before he moved on. But no, it was quite good, weren't it, lads? So, just as a quick one, if we could get any guest on here now in future that's obviously alive, they can be a footballer at present or an ex-pro, who do you think you'd pick? Because for me, I think I'd have to go with my idol, which would be Ronaldinho. I'm not sure how much he'd understand us, but having Ronaldinho on it in Ryan's living room would be quality, wouldn't it?
With the Sainsbury's van, of
with
course.
With the Sainsbury's
at
van.
3 o'clock, yeah.
Who would you pick then? Because I bet yours would be either a Liverpool player, wouldn't it?
It'd probably be Stevie G for me. Yeah, of course, you know what I mean?
You'd hear Gerrard before you saw him, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you'd have to get some chick in him.
Get some chicken and a kind of cold beef.
That'd be nice for him.
Yeah, Stevie G for me.
Dean?
If we're talking more recently, then it's got to be somebody like a Ruben Neves. Probably not going to get the pleasure of seeing a greater player play for Wolves in my lifetime, if I'm hopefully lucky enough. But if we're talking all time, then maybe Robbie Keane. I think Robbie Keane would be quite a fun one. Somebody with plenty of insight into the game.
You can show him your Irish accent.
Solid goal scorer, I think he'll approve. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he might approve of some of your accents. Can you do a Robbie Keane accent?
No, I haven't really practiced up on that one too much.
Oh, shocking. So, yeah, our very first guest. That's impressive. Only after 4 episodes, I was very happy that he agreed to come on. So I'm not obviously sure who listens to this. All I can see is how many. So if there is any pros out there that are listening, hit us up and we'll try and get you on at some point, whether it's an interview face to face or whether you want to actually join the podcast with us and we can you can sit and chat with us while we're recording, or we can do it over Instagram, can't we? Loads of ways we can do it. So yeah, I think we've our email and that's in the description of our Instagram if you want to drop us anything or just DM us. So that's it then. I reckon this season's wrapped up. Obviously there's no Premier League left when this has been uploaded. We've still got the Spurs game and that left to play in half an hour. But until next season, I don't think we're going to speak about it now, are we? It's going to be all World Cup based and that's going to be the main focus now.
Yeah, the main thing to look forward to.
So next week we'll discuss the England squad in a bit more detail, who was picked, who was left out. And then that'll only give us 2 weeks before it starts. So I'll try my best to get another guest on. We'll see how it unfolds. But yeah, what we'll do is we'll start to wrap things up soon. And yes, just wanted to say thanks for listening to us, and Laiith again, thanks for coming on, because being a new podcast and stuff, there'll be a lot of people that'll be a bit dubious to come on, won't they, and get questioned. But one thing I will say is I've never interviewed anyone, so if the questions were a bit naff, don't bully me, because I've never done that before. But I thought it went all right, to be fair. It was quite good. Anything you want to add, Dean?
No, pleasure as always, and thanks to Laiith for coming on as well. Really appreciated.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Big dog.
Yeah, thanks again to Laiith for coming on, and very much enjoyed this episode. So looking forward to the
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shorter one, hasn't it, with the interview being in the middle of it. But before we wrap up, then games kick off in 35 minutes. Who do you think is going to go down? West Ham or Spurs?
Well, I said a couple of weeks ago that I thought West Ham would possibly stay up, but I've now changed that. I do think they will go down there, West Ham.
You think West Ham will go down?
I think Spurs will stay up now.
Right. Dean?
Yeah, I wanted Spurs to go down just because of the enormity of it, but at the moment I think I see Spurs potentially still losing to Everton, but I think West Ham aren't beating Leeds either. I can't personally see West Ham beating Leeds, so I think they're both potentially going to lose, and yeah, West Ham to go down.
I'm going to say this with confidence. West Ham are going to win 3-1. Spurs are going to lose 2-0. So you heard it here first if that happens. So just because both of you have said West Ham to go down, Spurs are going to go down for me. And I also think that would be brilliant for the Championship. Going to the, what's it called, the new ground? The London Stadium, is it?
I think they still call it White Hart Lane as well. But
But it'd be nice to go there next year as an away day. So
just a little side note, even though I am a Liverpool fan, I'd very much like to see Bournemouth get the Champions League this season. I think
it'd be their first European campaign.
For them to get Champions League would be absolutely terrific. So that's just a little side note.
I've just forgotten as well. We said thanks to Laiith, haven't we? But we've got Brendan Rodgers sat here. We haven't even said thank you to him. So similar to last week with Daniel Farker, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, thank you to all you beautiful human beings listening at home or in the car or Tesco's, wherever you might be. Thank you. It's a beautiful, beautiful opportunity. But screw you, Pep. I should be Man City manager right now. Screw you.
Oh man, honestly, we've got to keep this up every episode. There's got to be a new impression, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the bit now. I think we run with it.
Yeah, I agree actually. So no, thank you all for listening again, and we're still doing fairly well. We've just hit 800 followers on Insta. We're nearly at 50 followers on TikTok. As soon as we hit 50 followers, I want to do a live on there. So if you want to give us a follow, give us a follow. And I'll tell you who I am very proud of this episode, and that's Ryan. He's gone the entire episode without cracking up. He hasn't lost it. Like at the end of the last episode.
Debatable.
Well, yeah, there was a couple of moments, but if you listen to the end of last week, he was gone at the end, and all you could hear was him chuckling away to himself at your Daniel Farker impression, which I thought was very good. I don't know why he was laughing. So
What the fucker?
and that's what cracked him up last week. But no, thank you all for listening. Anybody want to do the outro today, or anyone want to end the episode, or do you want me to do it? No? Alright, I'll do it then. That was an awkward silence. So yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll try and get episode 5 out on Sunday. Possibly we might be able to do one in the week. We'll see what everyone's doing. We might get a little one in the week. If not, there'll be another one next week. So yeah, make sure you give us a follow and pass us on to some of your mates that might enjoy it as well, because the more the merrier, eh? So yeah, thanks for listening, and until next week.
Colo Tori, could you please message me back? I've sent you 17 messages and 6 missed calls, and you haven't even looked at MySpace in 2 weeks. I'm getting really sad, Colo. I miss you. I just want to reconcile. You could go for a curry or something. Just please let me know. I miss you, Colo.